So, Chad, do you guys remember the Slender Man incident that happened a couple of many years back or so? Where basically, if I remember correctly, if this is the one that I think this is, where there was two girls or so where they killed her, where they tried to kill their one of their friends or so to sacrifice to Slender Man. And basically, unfortunately, the girl survived, of course, but apparently, we got some updates on the woman from the Slender Man incident. Tozy got it for us here. Yep.
One of the girls behind the infamous Slenderman stabbing disappeared after cutting off her ankle monitor. Yes, this woman destroyed her life for the Slenderman because at 12 years old, she helped lure her classmate into the woods and stabbed her 17 times to impress the fictional internet character, the Slenderman. I remember when it happened, I was like, wow, this is probably one of the most messed up stories I've ever seen in my life, but here we are, 10 years later, and she managed to run away, and the internet is now losing its mind.
Police in Wisconsin say a young woman at the center of the Slender Man stabbing case is now on the run. The Madison Police Department says Morgan Geyser cut off her ankle monitor and left a group home Saturday night. In 2014, Geyser and another child were accused of trying to kill their friend in an attempt to please an online character called Slender Man. All of them were 12 years old at the time.
So how did this recent situation unfold? Well, on November 22nd, Morgan Geyser, she walked out of the Madison group home where she's been living since her release earlier this year. She was supposed to stay there under a court-ordered supervision. Instead, she just left and cut off her monitoring bracelet that tracks her location and met up with someone else on the street, and then she disappeared. Police say the moment that she sliced through that ankle monitor, the alert went off, and it quickly became a statewide search. Because unfortunately, again, this isn't someone who missed her curfew, this is someone who pleaded guilty to an attempted first-degree homicide at age 12. And while yes, she was 12 when she did that, but also, hey, let's say we let out the fictional character Chucky out on the street as he turned 18, I don't think anyone would want that. If you're capable of doing something that horrific at age 12, you should probably have an eye on you even after you turn 18. I don't know. Wild take, but most people don't end up stabbing someone 17 times at the age of 12. But either way, she escaped and hours passed, and her attorney publicly begged her to turn herself in, saying, "We worked too hard to secure her freedom and for her to continue on this path." But unfortunately, Morgan didn't come back herself. She had to be tracked down. Late Sunday night, Madison police confirmed that she was found. She was found asleep in a truck stop in Poston, Illinois, around 150 miles away from Madison.
Holy cow.
With a grown man. Both were then taken into custody, and the man was a 43-year-old man by the name of Chad Mecca, a guy that she says that she met at church. And I guess police found the two of them literally sleeping behind a gas station. So she went from sneaking out of her group home window to planning a bus trip to Nashville, Tennessee. And then I guess you have this dude who's technically old enough to be her father. He was just released on a citation while she was taken in on a nationwide warrant. And that honestly just makes the entire situation even more weird because you would think that he would be an accomplice. Who knows though? Police have not said how she got out of the group home and how she traveled that far, but they did confirm that she's back in custody and will be returned to Wisconsin. But before we go any deeper on the disappearance, I feel like we should talk about why Morgan Geyser is in the group home to begin with. So first, if you're online in 2014, you probably remember this story.
Yep.
It was one of the most disturbing cases to come out ever. Like this is probably
crazy,
like
dude.
the Hall of Fame creepypasta because it actually happened.
Yeah.
Are you going to put me in prison and I'm gonna rot and die? Please don't cut off my head. I'm just a wake up and having to everything hold on the outside. Sometimes I'm looking in.
911. What's the address of your emergency?
Waukesha County, Lenny. I'm transferring over a caller on Big Bend. That's a dead end just south of Rivera. And he came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
So Morgan and her friend, both 12 years old at the time, lured their classmate Peyton Leutner into the woods during a sleepover and stabbed her 19 times. Peyton survived,
fucking crazy,
thankfully, but barely, after crawling out of the woods and being found by a bicyclist. When police questioned Morgan and Anissa, they both said the same thing. They did it to appease the Slender Man. And people say the kids are cooked now. No, they've been cooked, clearly. At least, a small fringe amount of them. Most kids are good, thankfully, for society's sake. But still, think about how bizarre that sounds. An internet boogeyman influencing a real-world violent act. fact. Like, the news acted like the creepypasta was the apocalypse. But to understand this case, you have to understand who the Slender Man actually is. It's wild that the Slender Man is basically this like ancient internet history now, because honestly, that's kind of like what I grew up on the internet. 2014, I was 17 at the time. Yeah, no, I mean, we grew up playing Amnesia, Slender Man, and all these games. But at no point did I ever go, oh, better stab someone to appease the Slender Man, nor did I think anyone else in the world did, because, you know, this case is an anomaly, to put it lightly. But anyway, Slender Man, one of the most played horror games of all time, and then obviously the figure went way further than just being a game. It became a creepypasta. I think it got a really bad movie on it as well, and then just became like some weird folklore on top of that. It's safe to say the Slender Man is quite the rabbit hole, but it was originally created in 2009 on the Something Awful forums during a simple Photoshop contest. A user named Eric Knudsen, who went by the screen name of Victor Surge, he posted eerie, doctored photos that showed a tall, faceless figure lurking behind groups of children. But from there, the internet took over and treated him like a group horror project, building the character past the original posts. Fans layered on powers, backstories, sightings, and their own rules about how it behaves. I don't think anyone feeding into these stories or helping build onto this character would ever think that this would happen in real life because of this character. But the character then spread through creepypasta sites, Reddit threads, Tumblr posts, and so on and so on. He basically is the first crowdsourced urban legend of the internet, essentially a digital boogeyman. And obviously, what made the character so mainstream was that extremely popular horror game.
I said no. Morgan said, don't be afraid. I'm only a little kitty cat, and then lunged for Peyton's the ballistics.
What do you think she meant by that? Don't worry, I'm just a little kitty cat.
She said that she was gonna draw cat whiskers on her face if she became a proxy, and that would be her catchphrase, like with Jeff the Killer and Go to Sleep.
Okay, so the girls thought they were going to become proxies for the Slender Man. Yeah, throw him under the jail. I don't care how young, just throw him under the jail. We don't need them in society. Society is better off without people LARPing as proxies for the Slender Man stabbing people. But in this context, a proxy is basically a human servant who acts on the Slender Man's behalf. In the stories, proxies might stalk people, carry out violent tasks, bring victims into the woods, or act as the Slender Man. So that's why, in this case, police say the girls actually believed they were becoming proxies to prove their loyalty to the Slender Man. But Morgan eventually pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide, but avoided prison due to mental illness. A judge ordered her to secure a mental health institution where she stayed for nearly 7 years. In January of this year, a judge approved her conditional release. She moved into a supervised group home in Madison, but still had to wear a GPS tracker. And now she removed her monitor and left the facility entirely, which obviously raises the questions, why did she leave? Her lawyer doesn't know, and neither does her supervision team or police, so no one really understands what her plan was here. I just know that Peyton, the victim who managed to survive in 2014, probably felt extremely freaked out to find out that Morgan was actually out on the run. Because I feel like that thought might have come to mind like, oh, does she actually think she's gonna go try to finish the job or something? Like, that's crazy. But Peyton was probably not even informed until they actually caught Morgan. So that's crazy as well, because you would think the victim would be one of the first people they would call to be like, yo, maybe, definitely make sure your doors are locked at night.
Just a trick.
While playing hide and seek, then came Anissa's command, and Morgan attacks Peyton with a knife.
Morgan said, don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat, and jumped on top of Bella and stabbed her repeatedly.
And do you remember when it started?
Kind of. I didn't feel anything because my body was in shock. So they told me to lay down, you'll lose blood slower. Like, we're gonna go get help.
Did she try to get up? Yeah, she tried to get up. She said that she couldn't see, she couldn't walk, and that she couldn't breathe.
But as soon as police announced that Morgan was missing, people started asking why she was released in the first place. And the answer has to do how the conditional release works in Wisconsin. So after almost 7 years in a mental health institution, her doctors said that she was doing much better. And they told the court that her symptoms were under control and that she was no longer a danger to herself or others. And the judge agreed after reviewing the medical reports and hearing from the experts. But this doesn't mean that Morgan suddenly got full freedom. Her release came with rules. She had to wear a GPS monitor follow her treatment plan and take her medication, and live in a supervised group home with staff watching over her. I guess the idea with this conditional release is to help people return to a somewhat normal life while keeping the community safe. But, you know, after that, Morgan cut off her bracelet and disappeared. So did they judge her correctly? Doesn't look like it. And obviously a bunch of people pointed out, hey, if she can plan a murder at 12, then she was absolutely capable of planning an escape at 23. Either way, this was a pretty big system failure. But body cam footage was released after she was found when she gave a false name, showing that she was actively trying to hide from police. So clearly, she didn't want to get caught.
So what's your last name? No what?
I don't want to give you my name.
Okay, well then we're gonna arrest you. We're gonna take you an ID. We're gonna hold you an ID at the station. So we're gonna. You don't want to obstruct an officer. Give me your name and date of birth. You're not wanted for murder, right?
Right.
Okay, then there shouldn't be any problem. Okay, you're making it bigger. What's your last name?
Grease.
How do you spell it?
I-E-S.
I-E-S?
No, G-R-I-E-S.
Okay.
You're not wanted for murder, right? Dude. That is like video game dialogue right there. But obviously, she was found. My first question is, how was she able to just cut off the GPS monitor without a quick response? Because that's a pretty big alert when she cuts them off. And my second question would be, how is someone who's under full supervision able to just bounce? Like, was someone asleep, distracted, or was the place just understaffed? Like, did they literally have one of those like cartoon security moments where it's like some like fat dude who's sleeping and she just like kind of like lurches out past him, like, and then just like bounces from the entire facility? I don't know. The whole thing just seems fairly comical now that she's actually been caught, and thankfully didn't hurt anyone else. But my final question is, was this escape something spontaneous or like extremely planned? Like, was this like a mental health episode that she had and just bounced, or has she been plotting since she was released to go out on the run?
Apparently.
And that's probably the question that her legal team's going to be honing in on to figure out where she's going next. Because if they can prove that this was a moment of mania or something impulsive, then the results might not be as bad for her. But if all this was planned, and obviously there was a person with her, so it could be planned, that doesn't look good. Either way, I think her group home days are over, at least for now, because since she was out on conditional release, not probation, the consequences are pretty harsh. But the most likely outcome is that her release will be revoked and she'll be returned to a more secure institution. And it's also possible she could face new charges if police believe she fled while trying to avoid them. So in the worst case, she could be seen as a continued risk and kept in institutional care forever. Her own attorney hinted at this possibility when he said, "We worked too hard to secure her freedom for her to continue on this path." In other words, she was incredibly close to rebuilding her life, and then this decision might have just completely collapsed that.
We just heard the news that Morgan has walked away from the group home that she was housed at. Obviously, it's in her best interest to turn herself in immediately and not continue with this course of action. We don't know any of the facts about what happened or who might have assisted her, but certainly if there is somebody who's assisted her, that person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If anybody has contact with Morgan, hears from her, or if Morgan happens to see this, turn yourself in. Do not continue to remain on the run like this. It is not in your best interest to handle this matter that way.
Either way, she's now captured again. If something else interesting happens with this case, I'll probably cover it. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Damn, dude, that's fucking terrifying, dude. I ain't gonna lie, to be honest. Sheesh, so good. Oh. My goodness gracious me. Scary shenanigans.